How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to 14B Fantasy. As you know, I am your host, Justin Wright. Today, though, I am joined by a very average guest, I am joined by Jay Felicio of Front Yard Fantasy, one of my very good friends. Jay, it's good to have you back on.
Yeah, man. I was watching the last one we did of these, and you said, we went back and forth about how many times we've done stuff together, and
Yeah.
I was like, is he actually going to say something nice? I was like, no, absolutely not. And that's why we get along so well.
Exactly. Well, if you guys are wondering what this is the 5-minute debate. If you were subscribed to us on YouTube last year, this is an off-season series we run for both Dynasty and redraft value. The video is going to be longer than 5 minutes, but the debate will not be, and that's the key here. So today, we are talking Jaylen Waddle versus Tee Higgins. I am taking Jaylen Waddle. Jay has Tee Higgins. But before we get into it and I start this timer here, remember, guys, check out the Patreon page. Over on Patreon, the link is in the bio. But over on Patreon, we have Dynasty rankings. We'll have some redraft rankings coming out as well. Rookie rankings, the top tier. You get a personalized 10 to 15-minute video from Marco and myself breaking down one of your Dynasty teams. So check the link out in the bio. All right, Jay, you ready? We still haven't solved the timer issue, so I'm still doing it here, but you ready?
It's a timer. It works.
It counts. You guys can't see it, but we know.
Right.
All right, Jay, I will throw it to you first. What do you have on Tee Higgins?
So, especially this being the first one for this year, this is a very real situation. You could be in a draft, having both of these guys on the board, and it's really splitting hairs. I like both of these guys, but Tee Higgins played in 2 less games. They had the same amount of receiving touchdowns with 6. Tee Higgins actually had in 2 less games, had 76 more receiving yards. And yes, Jaylen Waddle did have 30 more catches, but even with those 30 extra catches, Tee Higgins averaged just slightly more. It's just a little bit. It was 15.6 points per game to Jaylen Waddle's 15.4. So although that's not that much, I'm using that basically to show that even with those extra catches, Jaylen Waddle wasn't as productive as Tee Higgins per game on a per game basis. Their target, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, his ADOT, and I will always see that his Jaylen Waddle's average depth of target is killer, objectively, right? It is not what you want to see, but I think
I got it right here. It's 6.3, which is 88th best, and Tee Higgins wasn't great. It was 12, which is 26, pretty average, but it's just compared to 6.3 for Waddle, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, it's a notable difference, and I think what he makes up for in ADOT is his run after the catch, because again, he's coming up 10th in the league in yards after the catch, and you can't talk about Jaylen Waddle without mentioning, obviously, Tyreek Hill is now in Miami as well. So the expectation that he sees 140 targets, I don't think that's there. However, I think with Mike McDaniels kind of bringing over this creative San Francisco offense, I don't necessarily know if he's going to need to have 140 targets to come close to what he did this year. And realistically, I don't think either of these guys are top 15 wide receivers in 2021. But over the course of their careers, I think Jaylen Waddle is going to just end up better here because he's not relying on touchdowns really to make a lot of his value. I think that was an issue with Tee Higgins because, again, before the bye week when he only had 2 touchdowns, he had 1 game over 15 points. He didn't even top 16. And Jaylen Waddle, that wasn't necessarily an issue because the volume and the run after the catch as far as yardage goes kind of saves him.
The only thing I'll disagree with about that is he did miss a couple games early in the season due to injury.
Yes. So he's working with a smaller sample.
Right. Smaller sample size. And even though he did, they wound up with the same amount of touchdowns. Granted, Jaylen Waddle did have a rushing touchdown, so he technically had 1 more, but receiving touchdowns, they had the same.
Yes.
Yards per target is another thing that I liked Tee Higgins over Jaylen Waddle. Had 9.9 yards per target for Tee Higgins, which was top 10. 7.1 for Waddle, which was 71st. So while I do agree with you, I do think that, coming from that Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. Say what you want about Shanahan. He's one of the best coaches in the league about developing a system around the players that he has and using them at their best. And I completely agree. I think they're going to do the same. But like you said, we saw Tee Higgins do that with Jamar Chase last year.
Yes.
We think he's going to be able to do that with Tyreek Hill. Waddle's going to be able to do that with Hill, but we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Plus, you've also got Gesicki there, who he's better than whatever Hayden Hurst is right now.
I still think it's Drew Sample personally, just as far as tight ends
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And
but either way,
right, exactly. They both did a really good job of shoring up the offensive line. That was a pain point for both of these teams.
Yes,
they both attacked that, but with more time, who do you want as your quarterback? Joe Burrow, Tua. And I'm not a Tua hater. I like Tua.
No, I know you're not.
But the talent, you can't compare the talent of the two.
Right, absolutely. Burrow is a better quarterback. There's no questions. Nobody's going to dispute that. I do think, though, just looking at 2022, that Bengals defense, I think, is ahead of Miami. And the Bengals do have a significantly better run game. Because if you're looking at target share for these two players, they were almost identical, right? Within a percentage of each other.
Yep.
But a 30 target difference. That volume, I think, is going to stay with Miami. Because, yes, they brought in Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, but neither of those guys, even combine them, they're not Joe Mixon, right? They do not have a run game to lean on like Cincy should have for the next couple of seasons. And kind of, before we get out of here, and I noticed this, Tee Higgins, he is not 6'4" years old, and he does not have a height of 23. I'm going to call it out, guys. It's there.
It's the first of the season. Stuff like this happens.
If you've watched us enough, we just roll through this. It is what it is. But for me, I was like, damn, he's 6'4" years old. Good for him. But
that's impressive to be that talented at 6'4" years old.
That athletic. So we're coming up on 5 minutes. But for me, guys, I am still sticking with Jaylen Waddle. I have them back-to-back in Dynasty. They are 12 and 13. So I don't think there's a huge discrepancy. I think you're splitting hairs. I don't mind anybody taking either side of this one.
And you said it perfectly. It's splitting hairs. It's finding those little details why you might like one guy over the other. And one other point that I did have, even though they did have a similar target share, Tee Higgins was using the red zone a little bit more. He had a 26% red zone target share versus 21 for Waddle. So Waddle's wasn't bad, but it was just a little bit more. Just that extra little sprinkle that when you're making that decision, why I like Higgins over Waddle.
I'm with you. I hear what you're saying. All right, guys, that is all we have for you. Jay, before we get out of here, let them know where they can find everything FYF.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at GMenJ. I'm a part of the team over at Front Yard Fantasy. We do a game show every weekday. We do a bunch of other content, video on demand content. Best thing you can do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Front Yard Fantasy.
It's linked actually below in the 14P YouTube channel as friends of the channel. I think they're the only ones. We don't have a lot of friends. Oh, it's a bummer. All right, guys. Again, if you like the video, if you like what we're doing here, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Comment other debates you want to see. We're going to be rolling guests in here almost every week, if not every other week, if not every week. So keep an eye out for these 5-minute debates. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and we'll
tell Justin why I'm right in the comments.
Don't do that.
How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.